It was the final days of the franchise wars. They had already publicly executed Grimace. And the writing was on the wall. Taco Bell was about to win. And it felt like I was the only one asking the really hard questions that nobody wanted to think about. If every restaurant in San Angeles is suddenly a Taco Bell, what would be the effect on our city's infrastructure, specifically the sewage system? If we were going to survive as a society, we needed to completely rethink how we take a shit in this town.
Mark Bernard, you have been fined 1 credit for violating the verbal morality statute.
Yes, thank you. First of all, please do not call me the father of the three seashells. Was it originally my idea? Yes, but I meant it as a joke. I was working in the San Angeles City Management Office Waste Division, and we all knew what was coming. Taco Bell had just conquered the combined city of Philadelphia, and they were now on the banks of the Potomac. We were mere tick-tocks away from our infrastructure being overloaded by 7-layer burritos, and we needed a solution fast. The mayor held an emergency Zoom meeting around a narrow little table with individual rotating TV screens, and he was like, whatever you guys got, there's no bad ideas, let's hear them out. And we thought of every possible solution. Porta potties on every street corner, no Taco Tuesdays, no number 2 Tuesdays, none of which could be implemented in the time frame we needed. Anyways, it gets to my turn on the individual rotating TV screen Zoom meeting held at a tiny conference table, and I had nothing. So I just blurted out the first thing that came to my mind. What about 3 seashells on a tiny little shelf? And the mayor loved the idea. He loved it. He was like, of course, 3 seashells. It's so obvious. It is? He's like, yeah, 3 seashells. You hear it, you see it in your mind, you know exactly what it means and what to do. You do? Because I'm not remotely clear on that. Before I even had a chance to stop him, the mayor's like, I want 3 seashells in every public bathroom in San Angeles by noon. Parks, courthouses, police stations, everywhere. And that in itself was a huge problem because they had to be food-grade scallop seashells. And where could we have gotten a steady supply of food-grade scallop shells? Oh, I don't know. Maybe one of the hundreds of seafood restaurants that were just conquered by Taco Bell? So procuring the seashells was its own issue, but then the mayor invites me to dinner at Taco Bell, which is he working in cahoots with Taco Bell? Is that Dan Cortez? Oh my God, it is Dan Cortez! Anyways, I'm like, sir, we need a public service ad campaign to tell the people about the 3 seashells and most importantly, how to use them, which again, I am still very not clear on. The mayor's like, no. Here's what we need to do. We need to hire the most annoying guy in every office to sit near the bathroom so that when somebody comes out and says, what am I supposed to do with the 3 seashells? This annoying dork can then point and laugh and say, he doesn't know what the 3 seashells are for. Nobody wants to be shamed for not knowing how to use the bathroom, least of all from a guy like that. So that's what we'll do instead. And that's when the problems really started. Because nobody knew how to use the 3 seashells, least of all me, and I'm the guy who invented it. People were coming up to me like, okay, really, how am I supposed to take a dump? And I'm like, I don't know. And it really didn't take long for the next obvious question to be asked, which was, who's cleaning the seashells in between? And the horrifying answer was, nobody. So people are doing God knows what with these seashells back there and then putting them right back on the shelf for the next person? Except that's what some people were doing. If you were rich enough, you just used 3 new seashells each time, flushing the very unflushable scallop shells down the drain. It wasn't long before the entire sewage system of San Angeles was clogged with scallop shells, and there we were, in an even worse situation than the one we were trying to avoid. Who can you even call at a time like this?
Call Ed Moltano. Hey, I'll fix your sink, and when I show up to your house, I won't smell like shit.
Being an immortal creature of the night and all, I lived to see the future or present, whatever this is, and boy, what a fucking place this turned out to be.
Ed Moltano, you've been fined 1 credit for violating the verbal morality statute.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I had made a fortune in Spotify royalties for my jingle, Call Ed Moltano. Of course, they played the bleeped radio edit, but that's all they play on the radio here in the future, present, what have you, is jingles. Anyways, I get a call from my buddy Jerry. He says, hey Ed, I need you to get out to San Angeles. They got a big plumbing problem. I said, Jesus Christ, Jerry, did they go through with that fucking 3 seashells idea?
Ed Moltano, you've been fined.
Yeah, I got it. Keep your shirt on. Anyways, I get to San Angeles, and the cops are everywhere, and they're like, be careful, citizen, for murder death killer Simon Phoenix is on the loose. I said, Simon Phoenix, that son of a bitch?
Ed Ed Moltano.
Yeah, shut up. I got it. Anyways, they were like, you know Simon Phoenix? I was like, know him. He owes me $1,300 plus interest. He stole my buddy Blade's identity and got me to do a free walk-in shower for him. I was like, Blade, I don't remember you having blonde hair. He's like, I'm doing a Dennis Rodman thing. Get off my case, Plumber Man. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, it turns out I got tricked by this scumbag Simon Phoenix, and now he's been cryogenically unfrozen here in the present, future, whatever. Anyways, I get to the city management office, and they're like, we've been flushing scallop shells down the toilet for the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, there's your problem, buddy. What in God's name are you people even doing back there with these 3 seashells? You know what? I don't actually want to know. So I start getting into the pipes, and hoo boy, it's like the coastal grandma section of a Pier 1 Imports in there. Just crammed to the gills with seashells. So I gotta go further down into the sewer. I get down below the surface, and holy moly, there is a whole society living beneath the streets of San Angeles. And I meet the guy in charge, Edgar Friendly, a real Denis Leary type, if you know what I mean. And boy, talk about 2 peas in a pod we were. He's like, hey, I'm Ed. I'm like, hey, I'm Ed too. He's like, hey, you want a rat burger? I'm like, hell yeah, I want a rat burger. You got any ketchup? He's like, we got Taco Bell mild sauce. I'm like, close enough. But the mayor really had it out for Edgar Friendly. He hated everything Edgar stood for, which mainly seemed to be a love for complaining. Like, if Edgar got everything he wanted, he'd probably be very unhappy. Anyways, turns out Simon Phoenix was released from cryo prison on the mayor's orders to kill Edgar Friendly, which he probably could have just bribed the rat burger lady to poison him. Like, it would have been a lot easier. But thankfully, the other unthawed cryo prisoner, John Spartan, was able to pull the old hasta la vista move on Simon, who shattered into a bunch of ice cubes. Also, the cryo prison blew up, so I guess nobody's getting out. Not even the nonviolent offenders. Yikes. But it turns out Edgar Friendly had the solution we were looking for all along. By swearing like a sailor, you could get enough verbal morality violations which would give a person enough squares of toilet paper to handle their business. And so now we're back to being a foul-mouthed society. You can always tell who has diarrhea because they stand outside the bathroom and they sound like Joe Pesci in Casino. But at least we stopped using the 3 seashells. But how exactly do you use the 3 seashells? Okay, this is the official explanation as far as I was told. You hold 2 seashells like chopsticks, pull gently, and scrape what's left with the 3rd. Yikes, that cannot be sanitary. Oh my god, you'll never guess who I ran into. The same vampire broad that changed me into one. She was like, hey, can I get some of those ice cubes for my drink? I'm like, honey, it's not Blade. It ain't Blade, trust me, it ain't him. But do you maybe want to pick up things where we left off? Maybe do the old Hunka Chunka? And she was like, yeah, let's go back to my place. And I was like, yeah. So we get there and she hands me an Oculus headset. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? She's like, the Hunka Chunka, quit being a prude. I'm like, okay, keep your shirt on. I mean, don't, but you know, take it easy. I gotta tell you fellas, doing the Hunka Chunka in the future, don't knock it till you try it. Did you know that Sting wrote the theme song for Demolition Man? It's literally called Demolition Man, written and performed by Sting. Anyways, big shout out to our 6 new members on the Major Minor members list. That's Tyler Endress, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Holy shit, it's Honeycut. Mike Schultz, hi Uncle Mike. Alejandro Muro, and Cauldron. So big shout out to everyone there. We got big new episodes coming out soon. And stay tuned. Click subscribe, like, whatever's over there. Yeah, that's it.